Joining me now in the studio is Liam Brosnan, who has secretly converted himself from a to an LGFA pundit, and of course he was up yesterday with Radio Kerry's Sport as well, Bríd O'Shea and Tim Moynihan, and it was fantastic coverage we have been giving the Kerry ladies all year as well, and of course Dan Kearney is going to be on the line there fairly shortly as well, and we'll go through the game. First of all, Liam, I suppose a lot of people went up in huge hopes, huge expectations, but in the end, I suppose fair is fair. The better team probably won that game.
They probably did, Donal. I suppose tactically as well, they were probably, that little bit ahead of us yesterday. But look, we were, like you said, we went up with great hope. There was a great buzz around the county, as you could say, from the men's weekend, and they carried on then about the ladies, through Radio Kerry and the lads with the song and the whole lot. There was it was great, and even going up, I'd say there wasn't a bus left in Kerry, because there was buses all the ways up. If you put them in a line, I'd say we'd have a couple of miles of buses of Kerry people. And a massive atmosphere up there. When the two teams walked around the field, you could see the sea of green and gold. So Kerry had a big support up there, and it was great for the girls because they've been great ambassadors for the game. I suppose the last couple of years they've won 2 league titles. They have to get into 2 All-Ireland finals. So they deserve a lot of credit. I know they're going to probably hurting tonight, and it'll hurt for a while. But I think when the dust settles, they'll say, right, yeah, look, we've unfinished business, and I think they have, because I said it to Joe yesterday after the game. If they take a leaf out of the Cockamokie girls, they were beaten in 2 All-Ireland finals. They came back this year, and we saw what they did. So hopefully they'll rise from the ashes again, and maybe drive on for another year.
Mm-hmm. And of course, this Dublin team lost 3 All-Irelands in a row before, and went on to win 4 in a row. Dan Kearney joins us. Dan, back to Croke Park yesterday. I mean, God, you're nearly a resident up there now at this stage with ladies football. It was still a disappointing trip home with all the supporters. As I said, there was high expectations. It kind of comes with an All-Ireland loss, I suppose. Was this one a little bit harder to take than last year's one?
Yeah, definitely. So I think even in Castle Island there, earlier I was below with the girls. It was a fabulous turnout, a fantastic turnout, and all young kids, and there for autographs and photographs and everything. And it was great to see, to give the girls a fillip, because they are very down, as you can imagine. Look, they went up there, they felt they had prepared very, very well. They're after a great season, and it just the first half kind of knocked them out, really. It knocked them asunder, and that's why it's so hard to take, because I think they feel that they didn't perform in the first half in particular. And you know yourself, if you play a game, and Liam will tell you this as well, and you give it everything, and you say, look, there was nothing more I could have done there, even if you're defeated. But I think the ladies, a lot of the girls, they're looking back and saying, Jeannie Mackers, we could have done a bit better there, and I think that's why it's so hard to take, that they feel that they didn't perform to their potential, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's a hard place to leave Croke Park, knowing that you got the one shot at it, and that's it. But look, that's the way it is. I mean, obviously they were there last year. Few enough people probably gave them a chance to get back there so quickly as well, and they're certainly up there in the top 3 or 4 teams across the country as well, and who obviously they're a lot closer to getting back there than not getting back there, I would imagine. Liam, loads of comments coming in. Obviously we have the comments that are supporting the girls, and things are fantastic. The poor old referee, as usual, poor old Shane Curley. We won't dwell too long on it, but he's coming in for a little bit of a hit with a stick. Yeah,
but I suppose, look, Dan might tell you more about this, but he probably refed it to the rules of the ladies' rule book, because if you think back to a couple of years, well, it's a good few years ago, remember Darren O'Sullivan was a Kerry minor, and Tyrone fouled him, was it 7 or 8 times, but it was a different player every time. Dublin were like that yesterday, so there is no rule in the book. If anything, you've got to give Dublin credit for it. Now the ladies might look into it and say, right, they might be after opening a can of worms here, because they're after showing up something, a bit of a flaw that's there, that a cute Dublin side. What they did basically yesterday was, every time Kerry got the ball out of defence and they tried to attack, they stopped us. They fouled us without being, I'm hearing a lot that they were very physical. No, the fouls weren't physical, the fouls were silly, but they were just stopping the ball. And what they were doing then is they were standing in front of the Kerry player. to be fair to the referee, he was moving the ball forward.
He done it several times.
Yeah. And there was nothing else he could do. I don't think you can yellow card a player or send off a player for that kind of a thing. But it just upset Kerry's plans. Kerry were looking at an early ball into our full forward line. Like, our full forward line scored, I think, 77-62 coming into yesterday's game between the three girls. So that was Mick Bone's main target, was if we could stop the ball going into the three girls inside, we'll have a great chance in this. And that's what they did. And I think, we can... I'd be blaming the referee for the men's game more than I'd be blaming this poor fella, because I don't think he did anything wrong yesterday. I think it was just Dublin with the cuteness played the rules of the game. They were just stopping the ball, stopping it fairly. There was no red cards or yellow cards in doing it, and I don't think that the referee could be held accountable for this. I know it was annoying. I saw the Kerry management up in arms at times, but I don't think there's a rule in the book for what happened yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. Once you don't exceed your quota of 3, you're safe enough, and obviously everybody...
It was a different player every time.
And it's quite rehearsed. Then, I suppose, coming into the game, we were talking about matchups, and we were saying that midfield was going to be one of these places where we needed to break even. Very early intent from Dublin that they wanted to own midfield, particularly even from that first score that they got, and it was a tough afternoon at midfield for most of it.
Yeah, as soon as Shane Curley, who I disagree with Liam, I thought Louise was getting desperate treatment there at full forward. A small bit, she could have got a bit more protection. That's gone. That's different. But listen, the very first ball that was thrown in, Jennifer Dunn, she just handed off Lorraine, got the ball, went on a run. It was passed inside off to Hannah Tyrrell, and she turned around, put it over the bar, and that was Jennifer Dunn saying, "This is going to be my final. It's going to be my final. I'm the boss here." And she went on, and I think she's a phenomenal footballer. She kicked a lovely point in the second half with her left leg as well. So there was that, and unfortunately, if you have players like that are really playing at the top of their form, and you have the likes of Tyrrell playing to the top of her form, and it really is difficult to counteract that. And I thought Caffrey was really, really good there as well, driving forward from half back. And in fairness, I suppose the whole Dublin team, they had a plan, and their intensity was phenomenal. They're fouling around the middle of the field, of course. Yeah, that was, it was probably a tactical masterclass in fouling, really.
Yeah, it's nothing then that hasn't been seen before by them. I would say. Obviously, go back and ask Cork about it. I mean, Cork could write a book on possibly how they kind of brought that into the game in that sense. Dublin kind of copied them, but I mean, in the semi-final, I mean, I dare say there was a lot more and a lot worse than that when they prevented Cork.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And it's, I suppose, look at something the LGFA have to look at in terms of rules. I like in rugby, if you do it like it's the next foul and you're gone, kind of a thing, like, you know what I mean, if you're collapsing a scrum or whatever, like,
it's the next person that goes, yeah.
Yeah, so I think they have to look at it like from that point of view, because if you have a team as well drilled as that know exactly what they're doing, they're going to continue doing it. Like, I mean, Dublin teams under Mick Bowen have always played on the edge. And, I admire them, really. I admire them. I admire that great 4-in-a-row team they had with Goldrick and all these girls. And, Henry Cole Owens and all them. They were phenomenal. They did the same thing, like, they had the same mantra, and it worked, and they won 4 All-Irelands in a row. And, this team, going by their age profile and everything, they're going to be thereabouts for the next few years as well.
Yeah, and of course that 4-in-a-row was captained by Sinead Ahern, who came on yesterday for her 12th All-Ireland final. I mean, obviously the Tiernan Og is up there. Congratulations to the Kerry ladies, who did us so proud over the year. I do question the county board could fix championship games the same weekend as an All-Ireland final. Well, we'll put that one on the burner for a second. Hi Donal, it was a tough day for the Kerry ladies yesterday, but they made a great comeback, great progress over the year as well, and they've given us some great days out. Their day will come. That's Charles. Thank you, Charles. Thanks for tuning in this evening. Well done to the Kerry ladies, never gave up. If the goal came a bit sooner, they could have snatched it. There was a lot of cynical fouling when Kerry were building, and an attack went unpunished. The referee did Kerry ladies no favours. He gave everything to Dublin. Dublin were the better team. Disappointing for Kerry, but Dublin were the better team, says this listener. They gave it all, to be fair. They can be proud of themselves. Well done to Dublin. The best team won. Well done to Dublin. A lot of Dublin fans obviously inside the kingdom as well, probably on holidays hopefully. You did Kerry proud. You did us great to get there. Dublin were far the better team on the day. Unfortunately only 3 players scored for Kerry. Liam, that point about the 3 players scoring for Kerry, that kind of sums up how defensive and how good Dublin were.
And tactically how good Dublin were.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. That was their game plan from the very first, you could say the very first kick. like Dan said there, when Jennifer Dunn went straight down the middle and they laid down a marker. And I think after that, I made a note of it here, is that we had, by half time, we had 14 kick-outs and we'd lost 8. They really pushed up on us, and they went for the juggler early in the first half, and it kind of upset us a small bit. And getting back to their tactical fouling, that's why they were delaying the ball going in. Hannah and Danielle, when they were getting ball, and Louise, but there was too many bodies around them then, and then we were kind of making either the wrong decision, or we were hitting a good pass, and next in Dublin we were just getting a hand or getting a leg to disinfect, to knock it away, and it kind of put us off track a small bit. I'd be wondering then, did the Kerry management not think of what Dublin were going to do? What kind of a tactic would that have come into their head? That Dublin were going to have a freeze like that to stop the play going in?
I don't know, Liam. I suppose look at from a management point of view, and you've been involved in management, and I have as well. I suppose look, you're hoping in a sense that the referee is going to protect you, like in a sense. Now I know you said earlier that they didn't do anything wrong by the rule book, and you're correct there. But how can you counteract that? If the ball has been stopped down low all the time, how do you counteract that? I don't know, really.
It's very hard. It was very hard. Like you could see it, and even the two boys on the sideline yesterday. They were very upset in the second half a couple of times. Yeah. But the referee was moving the ball forward, but it was just pure cuteness by Dublin. So
pure cuteness, and like when you're moving the ball forward, there the player's been slowed down, and they're getting players back for their structure.
Exactly.
And so Kerry all year have thrived on quick early ball, and I even said it there last week with Donal in the preview. Like we've thrived on quick early ball, and like the Dubs, they stopped that. They stopped that, and sure, what can you do then? Like if any forward were to solve once quick ball, and unfortunately we just couldn't get it in there. Couldn't get it in there.
And even when we ran at them, then the likes of Cart Lynch, and even when Emma made a couple of runs, they were kind of fouling him and holding him up as well. So they were kind of stopping us from all directions, really.
They were really and look, it's very hard to counteract that, like in a sense, I suppose Cart had her hands full with Caoimhe O'Connor as well, who was a bit of a flyer on the wing, so that kind of kept Cart honest as well. She couldn't really get up the field as much as she normally does. But no, I think, look, in all fairness, I think apart from the fouling and that was there as well. I think Dublin, when they moved the ball, they were actually they were neutral. They were kind of a joy to watch in a sense. The Kerry person, you're kind of gutted at it, but they did move the ball very well, and even their cuts in the forward,
their movements,
were. They were. I thought they were exceptional from that point of view.
Cheers, lads, you're a mighty flow altogether. Come here, we'll take one quick break and we'll come back to the two boys. And of course, we're building up for that 7:30 homecoming or thereabouts in the Glebe car park. It might be a small bit later, as you said. Ivan said they popped off in Farnford. No doubt they're probably inside in Sherwood's, a great space and a place to visit as well. We'll take a quick break. You're welcome back to Terrace. Of course, we're building up for that homecoming. Donal, I feel very sorry for losing Vera Hertig. She is such an ambassador for the game and has done so much. She deserved an All-Ireland. Hopefully she sticks with it. Donal, our kickouts were very poor this late to Dublin, putting a huge squeeze on our players in defence. Liam, feel that one there for me. I mean, we improved in the second half on it, but when Dublin did squeeze us very early, it looked for all the world like the Mayo Kerry game where we put the squeeze on them and we got it. And momentum is funny. You kind of lose one ball, you lose two balls, and before you know it, you're leaking a lot of points. And Dublin hit 6 or 7 points on a row, and that was where we probably lost it. That kind of second half of the first quarter. And
it was, and I suppose, look, I was above at the All-Ireland final as well last year against Meath, and I just thought that when Meath pushed up on us last year in our kick-outs as well, we were under severe pressure. And I said it to Joe before the game, I said if we can get our kick-outs right, I think Dan had a fantastic article in the paper last week, a supplement, and he put it in that we'd only 60% win in our kick-outs, whereas Dublin had 80%, and Dublin proved that in the first half. We had, by half-time, like I said, we had 14 kick-outs and we'd lost 8. They had us pinned down completely. And I suppose with ladies football, when that happens, it's very hard to get the ball out of our own half then when the team has momentum. And then when you had a player like Hannah Terrell it was the way she was playing in the first half. Every ball that was kicked into her, she was getting a score. Like I said at half time, if she threw up a fiver, it was coming down a tenner. That's the way. That's kind of a game she was having, and she was flying. Yeah, so the kick-outs had a big bearing in it. But in the second half, we kind of turned that around in the second half completely.
We've kept Terrace quite enough in the second half. I mean, she done her damage in the first half,
but she kind of changed her game because it was very interesting. She's a very intelligent sports person, because she played with Ireland soccer, rugby. You could see
showed half there for a couple
exactly.
of years as well.
But you could see when she was getting the ball in the second half, she was looking to pass it. Because she knew she was drawing attention and she was looking to pass it then, and the likes of Carla Rowan and all these kind of chipped in with their scores. So she was cute. She was very cute. But yeah, I would get back to your listener there. I think the kickouts was huge in the first half, but we did clean up that in the second half. I think in the second half they had 6 kickouts. And I think we won 5 of them in the second half. We really pushed up on them. But yeah, they had the damage done by half time.
Yeah. Then I suppose, look, we can talk about the kind of negatives or the perceived negatives, or people might think they're negatives, but I suppose they're not in a sense. But one of the huge positives for me was the display of Emma Costello or Sherwood or whatever name she wants to go with. I mean, for a girl that kind of came in the team in 2009 or 2010 to still be there at centre back. I mean, she certainly wouldn't look out of place on the Dublin team, but I thought she had a ferocious game. She took the game to Dublin, physical in that sense as well, throws herself around, covers a lot of ground. Certainly one of the finest games I've seen Emma play, particularly in an All-Ireland final.
Yeah, I thought she was ferocious. You were looking at a situation where Dublin were coming at you and possibly going to put up a cricket score, but she showed unbelievable defiance, and she's a kind of she's a snarler, I'd call her a snarler. You're not going to get past me. And when she got that ball, she had one intent: I'm driving forward with this ball. Any dirty ball on the ground, she was going down for it. I thought she gave an absolutely brilliant display, in all fairness, to one of the best displays I've actually seen. Emma Sherwood in a Kerry shirt, in fairness, in all the years she's playing, and I mean, she's played midfield through a number of years and all that, and she's always a good workman player. But no, yesterday I thought she was really, really good, really stood up, and I just made a note yesterday like that. I said a player for the big occasion. There are special players out there. And the bigger the occasion, the better they play, and I think Emma is one of those. Yeah,
and I think, to be fair, I might throw maybe just a small bit behind her, but certainly in the same box. Aisling O'Connell, I thought Liam was fantastic in the second half. Got up, got the score as well.
Really tried hard, tried to push us on. And there's a girl that very little have been spoke about throughout the year as well. And Dan's own club mate is Eilish Lynch inside the corner. I thought she was fantastic yesterday.
She's very underrated, Liam, isn't she? I mean, she never gets mentioned in dispatches, but I mean, she's always there. She's solid, and again, a fantastic performance.
She reminds me, of a Tom Sullivan or Ratmore kind of a defender. She worries if she's on you, she's going.
Is that a plus or a minus?
She'll stick with you. She'll follow you in. If you went up to the toilet, she'd be behind you. That kind of way. She's that type of a defender. She was excellent as well yesterday. But definitely Emma and Aisling as well. Really in the second half, they tried to do their best to drag Kerry over the line, and they were just hitting kind of a wall at times, because Dublin, look, I suppose it was easy for Dublin at that stage. They had the lead and they were able to let Kerry come at them and then catch us on the break, and that's where they got their little couple of scores towards the end. But there's great hope there for a lot of these players. There are a lot of young players there, and hopefully there's more with our minor success and under 16 success that they can push this on another bit.
Well, the pathway is there, the pathway is strong. We've always produced good players. I suppose it's just to get them kind of in the right way at the right time to win that All-Ireland. And of course we will win it. I mean, it's only a matter of time when we are producing players. Question here for you, Dan. We have a lot of people figuring out how the game was lost. An interesting one here. Hi guys, just wondering if the Kerry pre-match warm-up is taking too much out of the girls. They've been caught in the first half against Dublin and Cork in recent times. Does something need to change for them to start their matches? Dan, what do you reckon?
No, not at all. No. Jeannie, they've been using practically the same warm-up all year, and most games they've been leading at half-time, so I don't buy that at all. It's just a bad half,
Yeah, absolutely.
Just the way it can go sometimes. That can be look, that can be a mental thing. Sometimes you don't know, like, you know, I mean, it's an All-Ireland final. You don't know what's going through people's heads, you know. Yeah, no, I don't buy the warm-up thing. I think, look, just going back to there, I think, say, in the first half, we had a chance of a goal in the 13th minute.
Yeah. Louise was one then, isn't it?
Yeah, that was the one. The ball was playing. Danielle played it off lovely, and Louise came like a train. Mm-hmm. And I think even if she took one more step, she would have been fouled for a penalty possibly. But she took it on, and normally you put your house on Louise Martic to put that away, and she didn't. It was 3 points to 5, and we didn't score then. That was the 13th minute, I remember, and we didn't score again until the 29th minute of the game. You know, so if we had scored that, if we got a goal out of it, we were level. We don't know what way the game is going to go after that. Do you know what I mean? There's games are full of little turns and all that kind of thing, like, you know. But instead, you know, a couple of minutes later, Dublin went on up the field, and you know they got another point, and then they added on. Was it 5 more after that? Like, so that's the way a game can turn. I think it was a minute later actually. Hannah Turtle, she had a 21-metre free and she put it up, and so we were down 6-3 then instead of being 1-2 to 5 points level. You know, so that's the way a game can turn, and for me that was the turning point in the whole context of the game. We had that chance, and you have to, in an All-Ireland final, you just have to take your goal chance.
And then that was probably the one time that we were able to kick the ball into Louise. So
it was because do you know what happened that time, Liam and Donal? Dublin were out of position, and we got a free around the middle of the field, and we moved it very, very quickly. You know, we banged it in. We went long, like. And Danielle, in fairness to her, who I thought was Kerry's best forward yesterday, I thought she had a very, very good game. She took the ball very well under pressure from 2, and then had the sense to see Louise off the shoulder. And you know, look, that's the way it goes. Like, you know, sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't, and unfortunately, we didn't stick that one.
Mm-hmm. Mike in Kinmare there says, hi Donal, Hannah Terrell broke Kerry's heart, 8 points in the first half. Yeah, absolutely, Mike, fair play, and thanks for tuning in there from Kinmare this evening. Lots of comments coming in. Can I fire one at you, Liam? To be like stitching my old sock there with a big hole in it. I mean, to take 10 of them, there's about them all together. A lot of people wondering about the club championships and why did they go ahead, and the Kerry ladies were in the All-Ireland final. I'm presuming, look, the fixtures were set and the clubs are set, and it's a split season. It goes back as well, I'd imagine they're two separate associations, LGFA and GA. Is this possibly a reason why integration at this level is probably needed? Or I genuinely think as many people from Kerry went, because I watched on Club or some of the games and over the weekend, and there was few enough people at those club games as well. It wasn't as if there was thousands there as well. But is it something? Obviously, no game went ahead at the same time as the All Ireland.
Yeah, I would agree. I suppose when you have two different organisations, when they're not going to be talking to each other and organising, you'll have incidences like this. But look, like I said, I was up there last year at the All-Ireland final. We had a bigger crowd up there this year. I don't know, even if there was no games the weekend, would you have many extra
people? Yeah.
What would you have extra? You know, so I think the real Kerry genuine supporters were up there yesterday. Busloads from every club went up, and I think, you know, games or no games, what was up there, I think would have been up there if it was played again next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Come here, Liam, I'll ask this one too, because Daniel gave the right answer. He gave the textbook answer. Liam could have given
I could say anything.
The whole experience of a ladies' final.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm obviously team ladies. I've been involved for God knows how many years at this stage, going into decades and the whole lot. The programme alone,
fantastic.
It was a fiver.
Yeah. And what's inside in it?
And the content was fantastic. And it was 8 for the hurling.
Joe Curran, and you have, you know, there's so much inside in it. Like you said, for a fiver, you know, sometimes we often say it here that the men should learn from the ladies' organisation, because they do things very well. Yesterday as well, bringing out the captains at half time. You know, they got a fantastic
was that
reception.
half time in the intermediate game, was it?
It wasn't half time in the intermediate game.
Was it half time the junior game?
It wasn't, or it wasn't the end of any game. It was half time of the big game.
Yes.
You know, everybody, like we were saying earlier, whoever wanted to watch it could watch it. The youngsters were still playing behind their backs. Mm-hmm. You know, everything was done from a tee from, and it made them feel special, because I was on with Joe and I could still see him below, and they were getting a massive response. You know, so yeah, the men's could learn a lot from the ladies. The only thing, all right, the rule book, that's right after. Maybe they could bring in an extra card for cynical play. They could take from the men's.
The problem with the J is there's too many rules. At least we've no mark in the game anyway, on the ladies' side. Then, staying on that vein and away from the game, I suppose, the game itself, the ladies' game, we obviously talk about the hooter, we talk about the yellow card. There was only one yellow card brandished between 3 games yesterday when the Limerick girls got it. I mean, compare and contrast where the GA could learn from the ladies, maybe.
Well, I don't know. I suppose, look, we all know about the hooter. I mean, Jeannie Meckers, we've been going on about that for years, the timekeeping in the GA. Like, I mean, I can't understand for the life of me why they won't bring this in. Like, you know, I mean, it's absolutely perfect. I mean, you look up the clock yesterday, you know, you have 2 minutes left, like, to do something, you know, because the referee. So that, like, if you had that in the GA, you're taking away completely this old crack of, oh, he played 5 minutes, he should have played 6 or whatever. Like, you know, that goes on all the time, and we're always constantly giving out about that. Or if, like, even, you know, you're saying the referee didn't play enough, like, I mean, Goff, like in the All-Ireland final, he played less than 4 minutes or something like that, you know. So I mean, if it's up on the screen and you can see it, and you're waiting for a hooter, I think that's the biggest of all that they could learn in terms of GAA and LGFA, you know, that they could learn from the ladies' game. Absolutely, I think, you know, if the GAA need to get rid of the mark in Gaelic football. I think it's ludicrous. I think the mark is absolutely ludicrous. The way you can play a 15-metre pass to a fella's chest, and he can turn around and put it over the bar. That's absolutely crazy stuff. You know, I mean, that has to go. And thanks be to God that the ladies never brought that into their game, like, you know, because they had the cop on not to. So look, I think they're the two biggest factors if you contrast and compare the two games, really.
You'll pass your leaving certainly then. Good evening, Donal. I just want to say hard looks to the Kerry ladies yesterday. There are a lot of credit to their county and their clubs, and no doubt will return again. And we'll return again after this break. You're very welcome back to Terrace Talk here on Radio Kerry. Of course, we're waiting for the bus to get into Killarney. Ivan is there signing autographs, blowing the glebe, and hopefully you're all there in your Kerry gear and Kerry outfits, and give the girls a great bit of support when they get off the bus. I mean, they've been in Castleisland already this evening, which is fantastic. Liam, talking about homecomings and the whole lot, Castleisland has a huge history of obviously all sorts of sport and rugby and the whole lot, but ladies football, you know, I mean, it's certainly massive place, great support, and a huge crowd there tonight. No surprise, I'd imagine. No surprise,
and I was delighted to hear it because, you know, the girls deserve it. You know, it'd be great. I know after losing, we spoke about this after the men's, after losing an All-Ireland final, it's a hard place to go, is to homecomings and stuff like that. But I think it's great for the people to come out, and I hope they come out in Kearney as well in their numbers, because these girls deserve a kind of a pick me up. No, I think someone said that Schaefer was kind of apologise to the supporters in Castleisland. Like, they have nothing to apologise for to Kerry supporters. No, so it'd be great. And Castleisland, down through the years, the ladies football, they're all the All-Ireland medals. Dan could list them off there of all the great Castleisland women that have won All-Irelands. You know, so yeah, it's really a bedrock of ladies football.
Yeah, Dan, you're going to love this comment. Hard look to the Kerry ladies. Don't think they were tight enough on the Dublin ladies yesterday. You'd wonder, would a neutral venue favour teams better, as Kerry girls had a long bus journey the day before, which would make you stiff and tired, whereas Dublin were already there. Well done to the Kerry girls. Tough not to come away with the cup, especially after the hard work, training and commitment all year. Then All-Ireland final day, will we go back to Littleton in Tipperary and have it there?
Oh dear. No, look, in fairness, I don't know, that's just dull, you know.
Yeah, well,
it is an advantage to Dublin.
Well, take the point.
But it's an All-Ireland final, it's Croke Park.
It's a perception of an advantage. I mean, I presume the Kerry ladies didn't travel up on a Wednesday and tummed. I mean, like, it's a professional outfit now that we've turned ourselves into professional. In fairness to the two boys in charge, they've demanded high standards, and I mean, look, the bus trip up the night before, they stayed over.
And it's their 5th time there in 2 years, so they would have a routine, like.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely, of course they are, and they were there already this year. God knows, we're not taking the All-Ireland out of Croke Park, are we?
No.
No way in the world. Jeannie Meckers, it took the ladies long enough to get in there. Yeah. You know, I mean, Kerry had a few All-Irelands won before they actually got in there, you know.
They won one in Páirc Uí Chaoimh.
What year was it? Yeah.
To know, I mean,
I don't know, like, but like, say, for God's sake, like, I see my colleague there, Mary Gainey, was above there yesterday. Mary was captain in 1976. She was at the homecoming there against Knight. And sure, Mary didn't play her final in Croke Park. Like, you know, when she have loved a legend of Irish sport, when she have loved to play her final in Croke Park as well. Like, sure, it's the mecca of Gaelic games. You know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're from Timbuktu. If you play GAA, you want to play your final in Croke Park, and you'll travel the world over to play there. So to get the opportunity to play in that field is, you know, never ever going to be bypassed by anybody, and anybody from Kerry, that's for sure. Yeah. And like Liam said, they're 5 times in the last 2 years. It's like a second home to them at this stage. You know,
you love this. I mean, we have to listen to our listeners. I mean, it's fantastic, and of course, it makes Terrace Talk the show. It is people with different views and varying views and the whole lot. I'll give this one to Liam. Then you got the hard one, folks. I thought yesterday was a great event for supporters. 3 matches, great atmosphere, great colour, proper respect for the 25-year ladies. Obviously, that was the 50, but anyway, compared to the men's senior final, 1 match, no build-up to the big match.
Yeah, there you go.
Who's winning there? And the other side of the coin, I know obviously people are going to say, Donal, stop this, but I mean, €90 for an All-Ireland senior football ticket, which kind of stops you from taking your kids fairly easily. But yesterday the family ticket was 2 adults, 2 children under the age of 18, which I presume most of them are 17 and 18 anyway, for €70 odd.
Exactly, and the noise and the colour, and it was a real family event, you know. So yeah, like we said, the men have a lot to learn, but I suppose when you look back at it, the male side of the GAA, it's a huge business, and we've spoke about this for years on here. You know that it's kind of gone away from amateurish. That's a professional side of it now. So the ladies are catching up there, and I think Dan would agree. In the last couple of years, everything is on an upward curve for ladies football.
Yeah, if you look at this Kerry team, this Kerry squad, like they're as professional as anything you'll get in any sport, you know, in Gaelic games. Absolutely. You know, to be fair, I think they want for nothing. I think the lads will admit that. Like, you know, I mean, there was a couple of troubles the last couple of years, you know, with Kearns and all that kind of crack. But I think definitely in terms of preparation, absolutely everything that they needed, they got. And, you know, I think that they're a very, very professional outfit. And I think it's not the same all over the country, though. You know, it's not the same. I think we're very, very lucky in Kerry here that we have that, like, you know. And I mean, we had the instances with Cavan early on the year and all that, like, you know. So it's not universal. Ladies football is catching up to a certain extent, but it's not all over the country. And I think we're very, very lucky with the setup we have in Kerry, really.
Yeah, a couple more comments. We kicked too many wides just after the second half. We needed every score to get back at Dublin. If our goal had arrived earlier, lads, we certainly would have been in this game. That alludes to your comment then, I suppose, earlier, even if we had scored the one in the first half. But even then, that goal that arrived in the second half, if it had come 10 minutes sooner, would we have been kind of closer?
Absolutely, sure. Look at, I mean, a goal changes things in a sense. Like, you know, I always think now, at the time it came, it was too late. You know, there was only like, was it only 5 minutes to go or something like that? In the game, and we were 5 points down at that stage. Now, if there was 10 or 12 minutes to go and you were 5 points down, you'd be hoping. But like, look, Kerry came at Dublin then, but Dublin, you know, they came down the field and they got a score. Like, you know, it's sometimes you open yourself up when you try attack and you're trying to chase another goal, and they came down and Carlow Road just popped it up over the bar there at the depth. Like, look, it's hard to know. Like you say, goals change games. You know, at every sport, you see a team very much under the cosh there, and the next thing they get a goal and out of the blue, like, and it changes the whole complex of the game. It changes the whole atmosphere of the game. Yeah, I think if we got a goal earlier, it would have helped. But look, it was good to get the goal when we did, but really, in the broader scheme of things, it didn't really matter.
No. Absolutely. Dan, hold on line for another minute and a half. We'll have to tell Billy Mangan to drive that bus a small bit quicker maybe. Liam will stay with us, but we'll take another commercial break. Donal, unfortunately, we were not ruthless enough in ladies football. We need to take a leaf out of the Dublin team. The Dubs were better. They got to the ball, they got to midfield ahead of us. Kerry came back well in the second half and had some chances, but we didn't take them. We will look back in regret for this one. I hope Louise gives us one more year. She's an absolute legend of the game. To build up to the final, Liam, of course, Louise was kind of, I suppose, and she is on the same pedestal as David Clifford, maybe even higher up because she's there longer as well. Her impact and her impact as a star of the game, her impact on the ads on television, her story as a young girl from West Kerry. I remember her, travelling all the way from Cork Green, and herself and her mother and her father, they'd be in Limerick and they'd be at under 14 games, and they've travelled every mile of that road with her. I mean, she in herself, medal or no medal, she's one of the legends at this stage.
Oh, she's going to go without a doubt. It'd be great if she can get one before she finishes it up. But I would agree, medal or no medal, she is going down as one of the greatest throughout the country. Not only in Kerry, but throughout the country. So you'd be hoping that it'd be nice if she stayed on for another, because she really is the face of Kerry football at the moment, and youngsters are really looking up to her. And I think if you keep her in the dressing rooms with a young squad, I think you'd have a few building bricks there.
Absolutely. The bus is pulling in at the moment to the Glebe car park. We'll try and contact Ivan. Is he over there somewhere? Hopefully he is. Just before we do that, Dan, in a minute or so, I suppose it's hard to look at where we're going next year. I suppose obviously we're going to enjoy the County Championship and get through that. Do you think or feel or think that there might be a number of changes next year, or do you think or feel that the players will stay on, or is it even too early to think or feel that question? I think we frightened him off.
That's a tough question.
I think we won't answer that question then, Kearney. Fair enough. We will head across to Killarney. Ivan, he thinks and feels at the same time. Big roar in the background. The bus is in Killarney. Big crowd, and we'll head over to Ivan for, I suppose, to see what's happening. No All-Ireland final for us this time, but again, of course, Liam, we live in hope. We always live in hope in the kingdom. We're always closer to winning one than not winning one.
There's plenty more ball to be kicked on.
Plenty more balls and plenty more things. And I think over the course of the year, we kind of, I suppose, we've got more fans, more people supporting ladies football. I mean, it's great to be in All-Ireland final. It's great to be in a second All-Ireland final, regardless of the result. People certainly with their posters and knowing the names of the players, and I suppose getting back involved, and maybe over the next course, the next couple of weeks, those players will go back to their clubs, of course, and they'll be playing county championships and the whole lot. And you never know, Liam, you might, get involved. You never know. You might be John Kennedy has no team to manage at the moment. I think
he's free at the moment.
He might take up a ladies football then, but stay with us, because after the break, a lady who has loads of All-Irelands, I'd imagine, she has All-Ireland medals all over the place, Mary Conroy, she is up next, talk to us, and I think we need a bit of talk to us after that. Keen, fantastic job again tonight on everything really. I mean, phones, WhatsApp, the whole lot, sound, and Ivan, of course, out and about for us. Liam, thanks very much as well for joining us at short notice. And then Kearney, if you're out there, sorry if we were hanging up on you there. We'll be in touch next year with you, Dan, if you can hear us. But again, thanks very much for the whole production. It's great to cover a homecoming, win or lose. It's as important the day they don't win as it is the day they are winning. We'll do it all again next week. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Donal Barry, and you've been listening to Terrace Talk.